Hey guys, welcome to Troy Time. Hey, check it out. Today we're going to talk about how to connect a USB battery to a solar panel, okay? We're going to show you 3 different ways to do it. It's simple, it's easy. We're going to show you how to do it next. Okay, so let's talk about why you'd want to hook a solar panel like this to a USB battery. Okay, let's start with that. There's other solar panels, like this camping style one here, that folds up, right? And it's got USB ports already on it, okay? If we look in here, there's USB port right there. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, so he's already set up, right? He can just directly connect. Same thing with this guy, right? This little panel here, right? He's got USB right here, right? So why not just use one of these for something like this? Well, the answer is simple. As technology increases, this now has something which we call USB-C, okay? So you still can get a little adapter and you can connect to the regular USB, but those panels simply aren't big enough to really capture the full use of this guy. This guy can take in 18 watts, and those just aren't gonna put out that much power, okay? Additionally, I want you to keep in mind that the end goal is to get you like a 100-watt panel with an entry-level solar generator like this, something in like the 300-watt range, okay? That's the end goal. Once you get to this, if everyone could just get here, you've got all your capabilities. You can do so much, okay? So, but for a lot of people, that's gonna be a little bit costly to do all at once. So maybe they get the big panel first, and then as they're saving up money to get the generator, they're just using that solar panel with something much less expensive. Right now, these are $10, okay? So the cost of a solar generator, an entry-level solar generator at like 300 watts, could be prohibitive for a lot of people. But something like this only costs 10 bucks, okay? So rather than hooking into some smaller little panel that's never gonna charge one of these, okay? Because those are just too small to get it done. And they're also too small to charge this at its full strength. So what you want to do is get a big panel like this, and then you can fully take advantage of how much juice this guy can take in, okay? And then you can also be using that system either by itself or in lieu, or while you're waiting, as you're building your funds to purchase a larger solar generator, okay? But don't neglect these. I've got a lot of videos showing a lot of things you can do with these. There's a couple small adapters I add that's gonna give us AC, that's gonna give us a DC cigarette connector, like auto style connector on these things. You can do a ton with USB batteries, okay? One of my next videos coming up is going to show using a USB battery running projectors. So you have a large screen and running TV receivers and things like that. So that's coming up real soon. So USB batteries have a lot of utility, and you've probably seen that already on my videos, and you're gonna see it more in the future. By extension, these as well can do just as much as this, but more as well. So when I say that you can do it with a USB battery, you can do it 10 times as much if you get something like a solar generator, okay? But for today, we're gonna talk USB batteries, okay? So here's what we got. So this is the particular one I've been advocating for lately. This is only $10 right now. It's 50% off. This is the Asper X. I've already made a video describing it, saying, yeah, this thing is good to go. It's made an appearance in one of my other videos when we're actually outside using it in the sun, okay? But the question came up, how do we connect a battery like that to a panel, a larger solar panel, okay? So what you're gonna need is something like this, okay? This is just a cigarette lighter adapter to a USB. In this case, it's got USB and USB-C, okay? This can really be any brand, okay? This one, it happens to be, I believe it's called, it's Payaman or whatever, it's P-A-I-M-I-A-N or something like that, but it doesn't matter. But so this one here, this one has USB-C and it has what's called a PD port, which is a power distribution. Okay, so really there's 2 important parameters that you have to deal with when you're picking up your adapter. It needs to be a 12 and 24 volt adapter. That's the first one. The reason being is this solar panel open voltage is about 22 volts. When it's loaded down, when you're actually pulling power from it, it's gonna drop down to about 18 volts, okay? So if you've only got one of these that's rated for 12 volts only, 18 volts will not work for it. It will overdrive it, okay? If you've got one that's 12 to 24, then the solar panel will do just fine. 18 volts will power this guy just fine, okay? So first is to make sure that the item that you pick up, the adapter like this, is 12 and 24 volts, okay? Second, you need to make sure that it has the same sort of port as what your USB battery does, okay? This one's input is what's called USB-C. That's that little kind of thin connector right here. That's the bottom one on here. I'll zoom it in for you. So the top one is regular USB, and the bottom one is USB-C. So since this one is USB-C, you need a USB-C auto adapter that's 12 to 24 volts. Okay, when you eventually hook it up, it's just going to hook up just like this. This is the cable that it came with the battery, and it's just going to hook up right into our USB port right here, just like that. Okay, so now the only challenge is to hook up our adapter to our solar panel. Okay, so when we look at our adapter, we see that there's a prong here and there's two prongs here. Okay, the two prongs on the side, those are the negative. That's where the black wire would go. Okay, the prong in the middle or on the top, that's the positive. That's where the red wire is going to go. Okay, so if we look at the back of our panel, when we take open our little control box, well, this one actually has three prongs. The one in the middle is not used, but the one on the left is usually your negative prong, and the one on the right is normally your positive prong. So all we have to do, one of the easiest ways to do this, is by just getting a couple. It could be any wires. This could be any wires. I'm going to use alligator clips. Okay. So remember, we're normally using this as a deployable emergency situation. We're deploying it during the day when power's out. We're bringing it in during the night. We're not going to have this thing out in the elements, in the rain, and it's not going to be a permanent fixture. It's a deployable asset that we bring in, okay? So we want to just hook it up the simplest way possible. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up my red lead to this back prong right here, okay? And the black lead, now some adapters, let me show you this. Some adapters will have an actual clip there that you can actually clip on with a black lead, like these here, okay? Some have a little wing. This one doesn't. This one just kind of has a nubby, all right? So I'm just going to use electrical tape, right? It's silly, I know, but it works, right? I'm trying to just keep it simple for everyone. So what you can do is just tape the black alligator prong to the little nubby, right? I'll just go around like this. Right? Just make sure he's stuck in the metal. So he's secured to that, right? And then this guy secures to this. You could tape him too, but for right now, we'll just leave it as a demonstration. And then all I have to do is connect here inside the control box. This prong can go on the negative or the left or the black, and this prong can go on the positive. And when there is light applied to the panel, then this guy will light up blue. Now, there's no light hitting him, so he's not going to do that. If you didn't have these connected right, then you might have to reverse these, right? But normally the black is on the left and the red is on the right, okay? And then you can just connect your battery right to there. Okay, some solar panels will come with prongs like these here, okay? These are called MC4. These are the connectors that come off the solar panel. They're called MC4. Some solar panels will come with this, and there'll be like a little divot cut out of the bottom of them, okay? So in that case, you don't even have to open up the control panel. You can just tap in right here on the cables themselves, if that makes sense to you. Okay, and then you would take these to your adapter. So that's an easy way as well. Now I know that using electrical tape and everything is going to be a little bit kind of chintzy and too DIY for a lot of people, all right? So let's talk about a little bit more traditional type of adapters, okay? This one in particular, okay? So one step up is just this tiny little cheap thing. If you wanted to go super cheap, I think I got this on eBay and I want to say it was $2, something like that, maybe $3. But now you actually have a cigarette connector, right? So now this slides in here, right? And that's captured that way. And you still have your essentially alligator prongs here that would then attach up to there, okay? So this is an adapter. This is a cigarette female or auto style female connector to, these are clamps, but it could be alligator connectors as well. So this is an eBay one. All right, so remember, cable gauge isn't really going to be an issue, guys, because this is putting out 18 volts and it's putting out 18 watts. So that's about 1 amp. So even these alligator clips are well beyond, you can use them 2 or 3 amps. So 1 amp's not going to be any kind of issue as far as the gauge of the wire, okay? So this little chintzy guy will work if you want to go that route. This one's a little more beefy, as you can tell, a little more insulated, a little better quality, right? I think this is about $8 or $9, okay? This one here is a little better yet. It even has an inline fuse, okay? Not necessarily needed for what we're doing. We're using one solar panel. You wouldn't want to use this method if you had 3, 4 solar panels all connected together, but we're just connecting to one solar panel and we're just running a USB battery. But this one does have the inline fuse as well right there, okay? Alligator clips to a female auto style port. Now, if using the clamps and going into the control panel here is still a little too DIY for you, they do make a cable that is a auto style female plug that goes to MC4 connectors. So if you don't pay attention to what's in my hand, it kind of looks like this here. So this is a female auto style plug with MC4 connections. So they do make that. And those run about $13 or $14, okay? I don't particularly choose to do that. The reason is that not all of my panels come with the MC4 connectors, okay? Some of your major brands do, but when you get some of these really good sale prices on some of these very inexpensive panels, a lot of times they won't include the cable, okay? But if you still have the clamps, you can go right in at the control panel. So some of the sale items, again, won't have MC4 connectors, okay? So I prefer this, and I use this in other ways as well. I use this in other tinkering things that I do. So I like the clamp style, but if you don't like that and you want something that's a little more watertight and just a little more secure of a connection, then get the MC4 to the female auto style connector. Okay, so let's take just 1 second here to talk about safety concerns, okay? The great news is that solar panels are DC, they're direct current, so they can't shock you, okay? So it's entirely safe. You can go out there, wet your fingers, lick your fingers in the rain and touch these, and it's not gonna shock you. You're not gonna get shocked, okay? It will conduct through metal though, so you do wanna be careful about not having these two metallic surfaces touch each other when when you connect them to the control box, okay? But it's real simple to do. Just put them in there and just make sure that they're not going to touch, okay? Also, as far as cable size, diameter, gauge, we're only using 1 amp. So this thing puts out 18 volts, it's putting out 18 watts, so that's 1 amp, okay? So these are rated for like 3 amps, I believe, so something like that. So plenty of safety as far as the cable's not gonna heat up. You wouldn't wanna do this if you had, 4 or 5 panels all tied together coming into a larger, like a solar generator. But just for a USB battery, using something like this is just fine, okay? So I wanna reassure you that it's safe, you're not gonna get shocked, that kind of thing. So to recap, just make sure that your adapter has 12 to 24 volts and that you have the right port in order to charge your battery. If you have a USB-C battery, you're going to need a USB-C port. Okay? And that's all. Pretty simple. If you have any questions, let me know. This is Troy Time. I'm out.